everyone, it's Sam. I haven't been around for a while because I've been finishing up at the school I was working at, went on holiday, and now we're preparing a charity. Anyway, let's get on with another letter, shall we? Right. My parents, school and doctors know about my depression and self-harm and are all being very supportive. However, I don't feel I can tell my counsellor anything because if it's considered harmful to me, she just tells my parents straight off. I can see how much I'm hurting my parents, and I really don't want to worry them or let them down at the same time. I need to tell my counsellor I'm thinking about suicide a lot, not actually doing it. What should I do? There's been a lot in the news lately about depression, particularly as we lost the lovely Robin Williams. And I think because of this, it's now highlighted that depression is a lot more widespread than people thought it was. It starts earlier than people think it does, and that young people do in fact suffer with depression. Quite a number of young people do. Now, I am so pleased that you are actually with a counsellor, but as you've already found out, that the relationship between a counsellor and the client, i.e. yourself, takes some time to you get to know each other, to try and understand one another. To a certain degree, trust is involved as well. It takes a long time to trust someone. The problem your counsellor has is he is also working under the code of ethics, i.e. that if you're under 16 or under 18 and that you say that you may harm yourself, then they have a responsibility to make sure that you are safe. And this is why your counsellor has taken the decision to tell your mum and your dad. Now, they're not doing that because they're breaking your trust on purpose, nor do they want to break your trust, because it takes us so long to build that up. It's quite heartbreaking when we have to make that decision to then go effectively, not behind your back, because hopefully your counsellor will have told you that they were doing that, but to do something that you may not necessarily want your parents to know. It will be a very, very tough decision for them to make, but they have to make it. One, it's ethical to do so. Two, it is a lawful thing to do. And three, it's a humane thing to do. Because as you found out, if you have any relationship with your counsellor and you're beginning to like them, to trust them, to offload on them and to actually work well with them, it is a very difficult decision then to have to break that to help you. But they like you, and that's why they also have to make that decision that they want you to be safe and they don't want anything to happen to you. Now, often I see youngsters that will say, or older people as well, who will say, I feel suicidal, I keep having these thoughts, but I know I'm not going to do it. And it's a bit like when the power of suggestion, when a thought is put into your mind that you've never ever dreamt of thinking before, i.e. suicide, because it is such a very distressing thing to think about, we tend to get very frightened. So when we get frightened, what then happens is that we constantly think about it. Rather than, it's a bit like if you're going on holiday and you're excited, you're always thinking about it. The same thing happens with negative thoughts as well. So the thought's gone in, you've never had that thought before about suicide, and oh dear, now we're thinking about it all of the time. It doesn't necessarily mean that you want to do it, and the therapist will know this. They will know that you may not necessarily want to hurt yourself, but will want to get to the bottom of where that thought first came in. Did it come in from somebody making the suggestion? Did you see something at school? Has somebody said something to you? Have you seen it on a film? What's put that thought there in your mind in the first place? You also talk about depression, And depression often is very difficult to live with. People often don't understand it unless they've suffered it themselves. And it is this enormous black cloud that comes over people. You know, they feel they can't even move their arms and legs because they feel like lead. And every day is it's like walking through heavy treacle. And they really, really do struggle. Depression comes on for many reasons and is unique to every single person. So you can't say one person's depression is the same as another person's depression. It could be there for biological reasons, there could be a chemical problem, there could also be that they've had a bereavement if they've lost somebody particularly close to them or a favourite animal, and they feel low and they feel down and depressed. It could be a change of life. Mum or dad may have split up. There are many reasons for depression. Yours will be different from somebody else's, but you have got it and it needs some help, and you will not be being difficult with your counsellor on purpose. It just takes guts, courage, strength, willpower, and the need or want to be well. And sometimes when depression comes over someone, it's so overwhelming that the easiest thing to do is think, I want to be out of this, I just don't want to think like this every day. Depression does lift, and that is the part that can be quite promising. It can and does lift. Sometimes if it's an environmental problem or it's something that you're able to talk about, get off your chest, offload and understand, it's less frightening and therefore your moods lift and you feel much better. If it's a chemical reaction, it's a problem somewhere. I'm not medical, so I can't actually say that, but you know, doctors prescribe antidepressants for a reason and they work. And if they're taken properly and under a doctor's instructions, they do work and can be incredibly effective. What people find very effective is to have the antidepressants as well as the therapy. Under a certain age though, they're not recommended because you are still, if you're quite young, chemically changing. So therefore, if you have an antidepressant, that can sometimes not be as effective as it should be. So many doctors don't like to give antidepressants under a certain age. But when you get over a certain age, then there will be no issue with that. The thing to always hold on to is that the counsellor will always keep you in mind. The counsellor will always think to themselves, right, what is the best thing for this client? And if you're honest with your counsellor and say, look, I'm having these weird negative thoughts, I've never had them before, they're scaring me, I don't know why I'm having them, but I just know that I'm not going to do anything stupid, then the counsellor can work with that. And often they don't need to tell mum and dad if they really don't think there is any risk to you. But like I say, they will only disclose if they absolutely have to, because their relationship with you is incredibly important, just like you are incredibly important in the whole process. The person who knows what's best for them is actually you. Even at your young age, I've not met a client yet that doesn't know what's actually right for them. And if we work to what's right for them, what they would like the outcome to be, often the results are very, very positive. But again, it's about being honest with yourself, it's about challenging some of the thoughts that come in. Please don't believe every thought that comes into your head. The thoughts that come in are generated by either the media, family and friends. They say and do things, and as families we all have our superstitions and our little ways that we all do and our little sayings. Sometimes they need to be challenged. I worked with a young lady who came in who said, well, you know, in our family we've all got depression. My grandmother's had depression, my great-great-grandmother had depression, my mum's got depression, so I'm going to have depression. And she was showing symptoms when actually when we challenged it, it was because her assumption has always been, I will get depression, therefore now I carry those symptoms and I have now got depression. And you know, it can be that, as she said, she was lonely, and boredom as well. Some people, when they get bored, they get low and they get sort of a bit lethargic and they can't be bothered to do things, and then they lose their motivation and then they panic. There are many, many reasons for that. Please tell your counsellor how you feel. They will be able to help you. They will be able to challenge some of the thoughts that you're having. And if you really are suicidal, then there are people who really will be able to help you. As I said, depression can lift and does lift and can be managed. Knowledge is the key here. The more you know about what's creating your problem, the more you can avoid either the triggers, or you can understand what's triggered it and manage it so much better. So the work that you're doing with your therapist is incredibly invaluable, even at your young age. And I'm very, very delighted to be working with young people, because they shock me every day with their empathy and their intelligence and their understanding of themselves, their world around them, their family and friends. And they surprise me every day on how amazing that they all are. So please continue to work with your counsellor. Trust that your counsellor always has you in mind, and I hope that everything works out just the way that you would like it to work out. I've always been surprised. There's a great quote by Carl Rogers who says that what's most personal is most general. And what he was trying to say is that all those frightening thoughts and feelings that you have, lots of other people have them as well. I know it reassured me when I first started this work, and I hope that reassures you and many others that will see this video as well. Unfortunately, depression, that we are led to believe that Robin Williams had, and others around the world, it touches many people. It doesn't care how much money you've got. It doesn't care what colour you are. It doesn't care whether you're male, female, whether you're 18 or 80. Unfortunately, if it hits you, the only thing to do and the best thing to do is to go and talk to people, get some help, get some comfort. Never feel ashamed, never feel it's your fault, and always understand that depression it's an illness and it's not something that anybody would ask for. I wish you all the very best, and I hope things work out for you. Thank you so much for your message. Please take care. Hi everyone. The gorgeous Mr. Kipling and I want to thank you so much for all the messages that come through on Tumblr. As you may or may not know, he had a little accident on his paw the other day. He managed to rip a claw out, but he's much, much better, and he's back on his feet again, and he's actually going back for walkies again now. So thank you very much, because there were some lovely kind messages, and I know a few people were a bit worried about him. He's all right now. Please take care, and thank you very much. See you all again soon. It's a goodbye from me, and it's a goodbye from Mr. Kipling. Goodbye.